Do you want better relationships at work and at home?
Then we've got the insights to make it happen.
I'm Larry.
And I'm Dax, and this is EnRich Relationships Part 2.
Practical skills to lead, connect, and grow.
I'm always excited to talk about coaching, and truthfully, we'll probably have multiple episodes on coaching. In fact, you've probably heard us use the word coaching in many of our podcast episodes. The reason why is because coaching is such a big part of leadership, whether it's leadership at work, leadership in the community, or leadership at home. Coaching is that foundational piece that allows us to maximize our potential as leaders and maximize the potential of those around us. In fact, the International Coaching Federation, the ICF, defines coaching as partnering in a thought-provoking and creative process to maximize personal and professional potential. It's just a pretty way to basically say coaching is all about helping people unlock their potential and really not settling for the limitations that we think we see or the limitations that we believe in ourselves and in others, but really believing that there's more that can be unlocked within each and every one of us. What's cool about coaching is there's a lot of religious implications to it. We believe we're all children of God, and if we're children of God, that means we've got quite the divine potential, even though we sometimes may not see that or feel that way ourselves. Coaching is hand in hand with that. It's believing that divine or extreme or maximum potential exists within each and every one of us. And it's all about taking the time to help the other person unlock that for themselves instead of telling them what they need to do. In our last episode, we talked just about that. There's power when we teach, when we coach, when we support, rather than telling. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
I love that. I think the focus of a coach is really on the things you're talking about to develop other people. And I think about coaches I've had in my life. I wasn't a professional athlete. I wasn't anything with athletics. But as I was in band and I did play baseball a little bit, all the coaches that I can think of were volunteers. I can't think of any coach I had that was paid. And I know in a professional organization, they may be paid, but not necessarily paid to be a coach. And so I think it's that focus in our own, that centralization we have in our life, our core belief that we want to help build other people. I love what you talked about, that creative process about maximizing personal and professional potential. If we believe that in ourselves, then we can coach other people looking for that in them and giving them the opportunity to become the very best that they can be.
It goes back to that idea, many are called, but few are chosen. And that's what you just shared with us, that in our lives, there's a lot of people who are called to be a boss, called to be a leader in a sports team, called to be a parent, but chosen or being a leader is much more rare because it's hard. One of the things that makes it really hard is it's just easier to tell someone what to do. There's very little resistance, especially if you have authority behind you, and there's an immediate payoff where coaching is much longer. It's all about questions. It's about self-discovery. And so that immediate gratification of do this and it's done is not found. But long-term teaching, long-term growth and development is, and that person is able to achieve things that they otherwise would not be able to with just our instruction. In fact, I always love the words of Sir John Whitmore. Sir John Whitmore is the father of performance coaching and helped to standardize or expand the idea of grow coaching. But Sir John Whitmore shared that we deny our performers or our family, our friends, our teams responsibility when we tell them what to do, and we deny them awareness when we tell them what we saw in their performance. So in other words, when we tell a family member, I need you to take out the trash, and it's a very, very small example, or I need you to not put me down in front of others, they can be valid things, but they don't allow the other person to accept responsibility. They don't allow them to create their own awareness and to want to change, want to improve. So when we use great coaching questions, when we say, I noticed the trash wasn't taken out after we talked about it, help me understand what's going on. Or if we're talking about being put down, if we say, it really hurt me when you said X in front of my family members at Christmas. I want to understand where that comment came from. And I want you to understand how I felt. When we use these coaching questions, it allows the other person to build that responsibility and build that awareness so that they want to improve and that we can have that shared empathy for each other.
And I love too that coaches will always look for those opportunities to build, that they're not trying to impose. I think this is kind of going on a similar pattern, but not trying to impose, you got to do it this way, especially because that's more of a boss or a manager, that's my comfort zone. So I'm going to tell you to do it this way because I'm comfortable with it. But rather it's like, man, you're good at this. And I'm not sure the best way to get there, but here's where we're headed. And I really believe you can get us there, that you have the skills, you have the talent, you have the ability to really coach, to really encourage and grow that person.
Plus, who wouldn't want to work for a boss who cares about you? A boss who just tells you what to do, well, that's a manager. But a boss who cares about you, a boss who wants you to grow, a boss who's willing to tell you things that might feel a little uncomfortable and ask you for your opinion, for your insight, even when you may not know, well, that's a boss that you're going to stand behind because that's a boss who's going to help you to grow. Same in a relationship at home, same with family members. When we take the time to coach, when we take the time to focus on other people and believe in their potential, it enriches our relationships.
And I was just thinking as you were describing that, one example that sometimes can be helpful when we go on vacation and we need somebody to take our place. Sometimes we think that it has to be somebody lateral from us, somebody that's at the same level because of the decision making that they have or the ability. But many times they really don't because they're in a different area. They might know who to connect with and they have those connections, which is helpful, but they may not be able to really make any decisions until we're back. Where if we go down a level, if we go to those that we supervise, those that we're trying to grow, and let one of them step in and take our place as much as possible, still saying, hey, if it's certain things that you're not, you're not empowered to do or whatever, save those for me when I get back if they can be. If not, give them a lateral report that they can go to if need be. But that grows them, and then we're coaching them. They're growing in our capacity. And when we get back, we can talk with them and they can say, oh, I never realized this about your job, or we're growing them and coaching them to take our place eventually, or at least perform at our level, which is really a great way to grow our team.
And that's a great place for us to leave you with an invitation as an audience. We've talked a lot about the importance of having these conversations. We've talked a lot about the importance of feeding with feedback and growing and, well, coaching. So our invitation to you is to go out and coach. Coach at home, coach at work. Look for those opportunities to build that potential within others and to see that potential in them so that they can see the potential within themselves. As you do that, come back and comment on this podcast and let us know what's working, what's not working. Where can we help you to become a better leader at work and at home?
Thank you for tuning into today's episode, and be sure to check out our other episodes where we explore additional ways to enrich your relationships at work and with your family.
Before you take off, we invite you to subscribe and share what you liked from this episode with friends, colleagues, and family. Take a moment and share feedback and suggestions with us directly at EnRich Relationships Podcast @gmail.com.
Lasting change comes from enriching your relationships both at work and at home.